I thought Lisa would be happy when I told her I didn't have to work all week. Being a heavy equipment mechanic meant long, grueling hours, often including weekends. Family plans were usually put on hold, and I had missed out on more vacations than I cared to count. Lisa understood, or at least, she always acted like she did. She had planned a 3-day trip to Lake Winona with her sisters, their yearly tradition. They always rented cozy cabins by the water, spent the days swimming and hiking, and ended the nights gathered around a warm, crackling campfire. I had already told her I wouldn't be able to make it this time, and she had taken the news without much reaction. "Don't worry about it, Bob," she had said with a small smile. "We'll miss you, but I understand. Besides, the overtime pay will be good for us." At the time, I hadn't thought much of her tone, steady, almost indifferent. She was used to my schedule, just as I was used to missing things. But when my schedule unexpectedly cleared, I was excited to finally be a part of one of these trips. I found Lisa in the kitchen, chopping vegetables for dinner. The scent of fresh onions and peppers filled the room as I stepped inside. "Hey, honey," I said, grinning. "Guess what? I got the whole week off." Lisa's knife froze mid-chop, hovering over the cutting board. For just a second, her entire body seemed to tense before she forced a smile. "Oh," she said after a pause. "That's unexpected." Her lips curved slightly, but her eyes didn't match the enthusiasm I was hoping for. "I was thinking," I continued undeterred, "I can come with you and the kids to Lake Winona. It's been years since we've gone on a family trip together." Her smile widened, but there was something off about it. Hesitation? Disappointment? I couldn't quite tell. "Oh, of course," she said quickly. "The kids will love having you there. It'll be fun." Something in her tone didn't sit right with me. Was I imagining things? "And hey," I added, trying to inject some excitement into the moment, "I was thinking of bringing my dirt bike. I heard there are some great trails near the lake. It'll be a blast." Lisa turned her attention back to her chopping, her movements now mechanical, precise. "Sure," she said, her voice even almost too casual. "Lake Winona has lots of trails. You'll have a great time riding." I watched her carefully, but she didn't meet my gaze. That unsettled feeling inside me grew, but I pushed it aside. Maybe she was just surprised. Maybe she had been looking forward to time alone with her sisters. I let it go. That night after dinner, the kids settled in front of the TV, while I went outside to prep the dirt bike. It wasn't exactly an off-road bike, more of a street-legal two-stroke, but if I was careful, it would do just fine on the trails. I hadn't had much chance to use it at home, and I was looking forward to cutting loose for a while. By the time I finished, Lisa was upstairs at the computer. When I walked into the room to grab my trail maps, she quickly clicked something and logged off. Her movements were just a little too fast, a little too precise. I pretended not to notice. She smiled at me and left the room. As soon as I was sure she was downstairs, I sat at the computer and pressed the power button. The screen flickered to life. I opened her email. The inbox was empty. So was the sent folder. Lisa was always cautious about emails. She double-deleted everything. But this time, she had been in a hurry. She had forgotten to clear the deleted items. There was one message. "There's a change in plans. Bob will be coming up with the family. You can still come. But I'll have Karen put you in the last cabin. We should be able to have some time together, because he'll be riding his motorcycle. See you. LLC." The message was sent to D. Thompson at an email with the word zebra in it. I stared at the screen, my blood running cold. Who the hell was D. Thompson? And why was he coming on our family trip? The name nagged at me, familiar in a way I couldn't place. And then it hit me. I went to the bookshelf and pulled down Lisa's old high school yearbook. It didn't take long to find him, Don Thompson. There was even a picture of them together. At prom. A cold knot formed in my stomach. I had never been a suspicious man. I worked hard. I put my family first. I thought we were happy. I thought Lisa was happy. But now, doubt was creeping into the cracks of everything I believed about my marriage. Why was she still seeing him? Why did she marry me? I wasn't ambitious, but I made a good living. I never wanted kids, but I adored mine. I would do anything for them. I was a protective father. And now, I was about to find out just how protective I needed to be. The weekend at Lake Wenonah was going to be very interesting. The kids wasted no time getting down to the lake as soon as we arrived. I unloaded our gear, including my dirt bike, while Lisa and her sisters got everything settled. Kathy was there with her 4 kids. Their youngest sister, Cora, was divorced and had 3 little ones of her own. Kathy's husband, George, hadn't come, which meant, apart from me, there was only one other man at this trip. The guy in the last cabin. After settling in, I noticed a dark green Dodge Durango parked nearby. I didn't have to guess whose it was. After a quick lunch, I grabbed my helmet. "I'm going for a ride," I announced, making sure my voice was casual. Lisa barely looked up. I kicked the bike to life, let the engine roar, then took off down the trail. I rode 4 miles out, let the bike idle, then shut it off. I sat there for a while, making sure Lisa would hear the engine in the distance before I started walking back. By the time I reached the campground, the 3 sisters were sitting at a picnic table chatting. Then he appeared. Tall, good-looking, still fit. The kind of man women notice. The kind of man Lisa had once been in love with. All 3 sisters greeted him warmly. Lisa especially. They talked for about 10 minutes before Dawn got up and casually walked toward the changing rooms. Lisa followed. I stayed hidden, creeping closer. I wasn't sure what I was expecting, but when Dawn slipped through the back entrance to the ladies' side, I knew. And Lisa followed. I pulled out my video camera and turned it on. I didn't even remove the lens cap. There was no need. I moved to the adjoining wall and listened. "I'm really sorry, Dawn," Lisa whispered. "I had no idea Bob was coming. I'll try to make it up to you. He'll probably be busy with his motorcycle most of the time, so we just need to watch out for the kids." Dawn's voice was smooth, almost amused. "It's okay, Lisa. I understand. I'm a little disappointed, but I'm sure it'll be fine. There's a sing-along tonight by the cabins. I'll sneak down to the lake, and we can swim together. Just like old times. Kathy will keep Bob busy." There was a pause. "I don't know if I can wait that long," Lisa whispered. I closed my eyes, my hands tightening into fists. I had assumed my marriage was fine. I had assumed my wife loved me. I had been wrong. I felt a strange unease as Lisa spoke, her smile not quite reaching her eyes. It was more of a mask than a reflection of real happiness. I tried to push away the discomfort, deciding to focus instead on prepping my dirt bike. It wasn't an off-road machine, but it was street legal and could handle moderate trails if I was careful. I spent the next hour inspecting the tires, fine-tuning the engine, and making sure everything was in perfect working order. The task helped clear my mind, and when I finally went back inside, dinner was ready. The delicious scent of roasted chicken and seasoned vegetables filled the air, a comforting reminder of home. The evening unfolded in its usual rhythm. The kids were all excited about the trip. Tammy, our oldest at 11, already planning to spend the day swimming at the lake, while Josh and Terry debated who could make the best sandcastle. I glanced at Lisa, hoping to see some of the usual warmth in her smile, but it wasn't there. She seemed distracted, her mind elsewhere. She nodded absent-mindedly along to the kids' chatter, not really engaged. After dinner, while Lisa cleared the table, I went upstairs for a quick shower. As the warm water washed over me, I replayed her odd reaction to the news that I would be joining them at the lake. Maybe it had just caught her off guard. She had planned this trip with her sisters, after all, and adding me into the mix likely meant reshuffling the plans. But there was something about her behavior that felt off. After my shower, I went into the small office where Lisa spent much of her time. She was sitting at the desk, her face illuminated by the glow of her computer screen. When I walked in, she jumped slightly, hastily clicking something off the screen before turning to face me. "Oh hey," she said, her tone overly casual. "I was just checking the weather for the trip." I nodded, pretending not to notice her unease. "That's good. Hopefully it'll stay clear for those trails," I replied. "Yeah, let's hope so," she said with a tight smile before standing up and brushing past me. "I'll finish packing the kids' bags." Once she left, I stood in the now empty room, a strange feeling gnawing at me. Lisa was usually so meticulous about her online activity. She never left tabs open or emails unchecked. But tonight, everything felt rushed, as if she had something to hide. Unable to resist, I sat down at her desk and opened her laptop. Her email account was still logged in, and though I hesitated at first, something urged me to investigate. The deleted items folder caught my eye. Lisa never left anything there, she always emptied it out. But tonight there it was, a folder that hadn't been cleared. I clicked on it, my heart pounding. The first email I opened was from someone named D. Thompson. The subject was vague, and as I read the message my stomach sank. The email was about the change in plans, how I would be joining them at the lake with the family, but they'd put me in the last cabin, and the sender, D. Thompson, was apparently looking forward to some time together, while I'd be off riding my motorcycle. The email ended with a simple sign-off, "See you soon, LLC." My hands trembled as I reread the message, my mind racing. D. Thompson? Who the hell was that, and why was Lisa's sister Karen involved in this? I was frozen, sitting there in the dim light of the room, trying to make sense of it all. Lisa had always been private with her past, but something was wrong. My eyes drifted to the shelf where her high school yearbook sat. Without thinking, I grabbed it and flipped through the pages. There, smiling from the page, was Don Thompson. The same Don Thompson in the email. I had seen him before, in the prom picture with Lisa. My heart dropped. All the pieces started clicking into place. Anger, confusion, betrayal. Each emotion hit me like a wave, crashing over me, drowning me in questions I had never thought to ask. My thoughts were interrupted by the sound of my kids laughing downstairs. I clenched my fists, struggling to hold back tears. This wasn't just about me. It was about everything I thought I had built. Everything I had worked for. The life I had with Lisa and our children felt like a lie. The next few days were a blur. Lisa's behavior seemed more distant, and I couldn't shake the growing suspicion in the pit of my stomach. Then one afternoon, George Mitchell, Kathy's husband, showed up unannounced at my house. He looked weary, and asked if I could spare him a cold beer. Sitting at the kitchen table, he explained that Lisa had asked him to come, that her parents had paid for the trip, and that there were things I needed to understand about Lisa's past. He told me about Kathy and his struggles with infertility, how they had resorted to an unconventional solution with Richard, an ex-boyfriend of Kathy's. Richard had agreed to help them conceive, but only on his terms. I sat there, stunned, as George explained that all 4 of their children were actually Richard's. Then, George told me something even more shocking. Lisa's history with Don Thompson. Don and Lisa had been high school sweethearts, but Don's life had taken a tragic turn after a water skiing accident left him unable to father children. Lisa had married me, hoping to have the family she always wanted, and Don had even helped her find someone to marry. According to George, Lisa had always been in love with Don, and their bond never fully broke. George slid an envelope across the table. Inside was a letter from a lab, claiming that I was the biological father of our children. My mind was reeling, trying to comprehend everything he had just told me. But there was more. George revealed that Lisa had broken off contact with Don after I left, hoping it would bring me back. I didn't respond. Instead, I grabbed 2 more beers and sat in silence, staring at the letter. The next day I called my lawyer Seymour. I told him about the letter, and he assured me he hadn't received anything from Lisa. When he checked, he found that the lab listed in the letter didn't even exist anymore. The real truth hit me like a punch to the gut. None of my children were biologically mine. The divorce was finalized a few weeks later. I agreed to continue sending support for the kids, but everything else was over. I packed up and moved to Prudhoe Bay, Alaska, starting fresh with a new job. The cold weather didn't bother me. It was the emotional chill that lingered long after I left. The betrayal still stung. But as time passed, I realized that though the pain was deep, I was finally beginning to heal.